Welcome to the Historic and Architectural Review Board, January 8, 2025 meeting. Membership on this board includes registered architect Joe Phillips, Nick Nikolov, architect, real estate brokers Diana Hodgson and Joseph McGavin. Residents and business owners within the Historic District, Rodman Young, Connie Pastupak, and Bethlehem's chief building official, Mike Simonson. HARB review includes the general design, arrangement, texture, color, and materials of the proposed work in relation to similar features of the properties within the Bethlehem Historic District's period of significance. The buildings of Bethlehem provide a physical record of their time, place, and use. We thank you for coming and joining us in preserving our city's unique, historic, and architectural heritage. Applicants for a certificate of appropriateness will be reviewed in the order in which they were received. Mr. Phillips will describe the proposed changes as well as significant features of the building and describe the standards that apply to each project. Approved changes to district structures are based on Bethlehem's Historic District guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards. Applicants will present their proposal. Board members will ask questions or hold discussion with the applicant. Project presentations are limited to 45 minutes and 5 minutes for comments from each visitor. A motion is made and additional discussion may ensue before the vote is taken. The motion may approve the submission as made, approve with modifications, or deny with clear reasons why the proposal does not meet the qualifications. It may also be tabled with a list of clarifications needed to allow the board to make the COA recommendation. Recommendations made today may be acted upon City Council at their next meeting, which is typically on the first and third Tuesdays. No work can begin until council approval is received. If there's anyone in attendance wishing to comment on today's presentations, please make sure that you signed in at the table right there. I move to approve the December 24 minutes. December 4th, 2024 minutes.
Second it.
And second, if there are no conflicts from the board, we will proceed with today's applications.
Everyone in approval of the minutes?
Yep, approve of minutes. Do we have to do election of officers?
Oh,
Michael.
didn't see that on the agenda.
Yeah. I don't have that.
It's on the agenda. It was on the one I passed out today.
Yep. Okay. Forgot about that. Wasn't on the original.
I still don't have it. Is it possible to postpone the election of officers until next month? So when everybody gets here?
Let's do that.
Let's make a motion to do that then.
You're
Do I
right
hear a
with that?
motion? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we postpone the election of officers until next month.
Diana,
I'll
for a second. Connie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. 555 Main Street.
So, our members, you'll remember that this project came before us on the 4th of December. There was a review at that time, some suggestions provided, and the applicant agreed to come back at this meeting with some revisions and to review this application again. I included our discussion in the preparatory work for this from last time. I am going to let them go through what they have revised. I just want to have two quick clarifications on materials so that I can make sure that I have them documented. On the Main Street facade, Todd, the color of the windows, I think there might have been a conflict. I don't know whether it was the front or the back. The application where it said one thing and then your actual diagram that labeled it said another. So the color of the aluminum clad double hung replacement windows on the Main Street facade, which is in the existing portion of the facade.
Correct, yeah, so the thought there is to replace those windows and then have the windows in the addition above match in the iron door color.
Okay.
Which is a grayish wood.
Okay, so yeah, I think that was missing. And then I think there was a conflict on the back between two things.
I'm sorry. Replacing the windows in the existing with a red color that matches.
Right, so that's as prepared
Yes.
last time. So that's the Main Street facade, red to match existing.
The Rubel Street facade.
All right, that was, yeah, because it said one thing. So fossil. All right,
So we have an updated sheet.
you can
Yes,
pass that
please.
out?
Now,
No, pass it out.
Here, Joe.
Is there something else?
Here's the red. The original. Sorry.
I can just bring this on the floor for a bit, too.
Amendments all.
Yes.
You have one?
Those might be Joe's, no?
Alternative rendering we have, right?
Oh, he's taking my stuff. No, it's all public information, so
All right, so would you like us to review the?
Please.
Sure. Just to get this conversation, the handout that you receive now is an amendment to 3 sheets in the existing package. So we'll see an amendment to the perspective northwest view from the West Broad Street Bridge. And then we'll see an amendment to the materiality sheet. And then we'll see an added sheet, which is page 3 in the amendment, just showing our exploration of matching brick, as well as selecting that beige or tiled brick for the front elevation. So really, we'll look at the materiality sheet and hold that for our conversation. I think, Joe, that will clear up some of the questions that you had starting this presentation.
yeah, I think I was clear on all the other materials. We have a time limit, so I don't want to get hung up just on materials. I think you guys should address the changes and the basic architecture. Let's start with the big picture. There's no use getting into the details of color if someone's not in agreement with. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So from last meeting, we've appreciated the opportunity to revise the design, and we focused on brick finish color, window composition and color, form and massing, and texture. And so what you'll see in our new edition is we have taken the opportunity to match the existing brick, and we are proposing a specific brick colors that we have a sample of here.
Excuse me, Joe. Can you turn that microphone around, the other one, that one around and turn it on so we can hear him
They're all
better?
on, yep.
Able to hear me up until this point?
Kind of.
Okay.
Move closer to the mic.
Sure.
Thank you.
He is hearing impaired, so you're going to want to, I
Okay.
don't mean to throw you under the bus, but.
Pardon me?
Never mind. I love you.
So as you can see in the image, we've taken the opportunity to match the existing brick. We have essentially removed the more contemporary 3-panel windows, the asymmetrical windows, and we've replaced them with Pella Lifestyle mold double hung symmetrical windows. We still see the brick surround as well as the decorative infill panel between windows within 2 levels.
But what we are seeing is that we've specified now a beige or taupe colored brick that would be that surround and would be the stone headers that we see at the top of the structure. We've also taken the opportunity to look at massing. So when we look at depth and that conversation of depth last HARB meeting, we have decided to use the existing parapet, the high point of the existing parapet, as a way to express or set back our building. And so we're bringing prominence to the high point of the existing parapet by recessing or stepping back the building frontage at the addition once more at the center, as you can see. We're also,
What is, excuse me, what
Sure.
is that step back?
if you look at page 14,
The offset, if you're asking about the offset, it's probably 18 inches to 2 feet. So not de minimis, but not substantial either.
So can you say that again? Sorry.
2 feet.
2 feet,
Call it
18
2
inches to 2 feet. Okay.
we are also looking at what that textured infill brick panel might look like. So we presented two options here in the package. One is a more of a gradient style projection, while the second option on page 15 expresses a more horizontal banding, which lends itself to the existing structure that we see below, the existing facade, some of the more vertical ornamentation between existing windows. Glad I believe that about
Yeah, I think
wraps up.
that
I
wraps up
am
the
going to
front
stop you. I
facade.
don't, page 15 in here.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
All right.
So the two
So
options.
pages 14 and 15.
I
Page
see.
14
Okay, now I
and
see the two differences. Yeah.
Page 14 is more like what was proposed last time, or it might be the same, right?
So I believe the only variation between the two is the infill panel.
Right, but the
Is that
infill
correct?
panel is similar. to
Correct.
the
Yes.
Previous submission.
Yep.
It
And
is similar,
15
yep.
is more horizontal, which is just.
Correct.
And then the packet also contains renderings of the Main Street facade, that are more at an angle, so you can understand how the building, the upper stories are set back from the Woolworth building facade.
What page should we be
Those
looking at
images
for
would be
that?
on 12
you.
and 13.
Do we want to stick with the conversation on the Main Street facade, or you want to hear about the Rubel Street side as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for everybody's reference, we've included a rendered perspective from the Broad Street Bridge that does a nice job of showing how this addition will fit into the context along Rubel Street. There's also an amended rendered view in the materials that we passed out at the meeting tonight that describes a slight deviation in the coloring of that addition. The original showed a darker gray color to the stair volume. We've toned that down to more of a beige, so it matches the adjacent structures a little better. I think the other deviation on the Rubel Street facade is we took the critique of the materiality of that facade and reconsidered, and we're proposing more of a board and batten vertical siding look for that back elevation. That'll give the property a little bit more refined appearance, and as opposed to just using a standard clapboard.
So how far is this setback from the facade of the existing?
The Woolworth building? Yeah, so we're maintaining the 6 feet that we discussed at the last meeting.
Mhm.
But we have an additional setback at the center portion of the building that's in the 2 foot, approximately 2 feet.
Sorry, it's taken us a little while. If we had these earlier, we could have digested, but
Yeah, perfectly understandable. They were submitted. So the only changes are the 3 sheets that we had provided.
okay.
I understand.
Yeah, it's understanding what you're looking at when you hear it verbalized. So are the existing windows Pella windows?
The
Because,
existing windows are wood sash that need to be replaced.
okay,
They're, not in disrepair, but they don't seal well. It would be beneficial to replace them. And ideally, we'd use a clad product, but we could adjust that.
You're talking about the existing facade, right?
Yeah, I think that's what our question was about the windows in the existing Woolworth facade.
And they're currently Pella windows, did you say?
They are not. They're currently wood sash that need replacement. Wood sash double hung.
Anything below the front windows in the Woolworth side? Nothing to the front facade?
No,
or
we're not
anything?
proposing any alterations to the storefronts or the signage band for that matter. The only change below the existing parapet of the Woolworth building is really the windows.
Okay.
Right, in the brick.
Correct.
okay. I'm going to dig in here. I think we still have an issue with the actual building, that it's the historic look of the city of Bethlehem are all the height differences in each building. And we seem to be taking over the city with skyscrapers. And we're losing the sense of time when we do that. We're just constantly being, and I'm not against change or anything, but it's especially on this one because there are so few of this type of building left. Like when you do all the research and everything, and a lot of people have mentioned that there are very few buildings that have this type of look. And I mean, Lancaster tore theirs down. It's just terrible. So I think if nobody else has any other questions, you guys, nothing?
I mean, I really don't have any questions, just that they did address all of our comments from the last meeting. You know what I mean? I just wanted to point that out. I think they did a nice job on that, addressing those. But no, as far as additional questions regarding this, no.
I agree with Connie in terms that I don't think that adding the building on is going to have an effect upon, as you look at this, alignment, rhythm, spacing, facade proportions. I mean, you're taking a building that's and such a modification and such a change to the skyline for Main Street that I think is a detriment. Not what anybody wants to hear, but that's what I think with it.
Well, I think, our guidelines,
Pardon me?
our guidelines direct us that way, as far as, paying attention to the skylines and keeping them in the historic district. So it's not a detriment, Joe.
See, and when you look at our guidelines, number 7, alignment, rhythm, spacing, the effect the addition new building will have on the existing street patterns.
Mhm.
Now, street patterns to me is what you see when you're, walking down Main Street or driving, down Main Street.
But what is the pattern on Main Street? Because there's all different sized buildings around the whole way.
That's the point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is this isn't the same as any other. It's just another. It is an additional height to the building. I granted, but I mean, there's no rhythm for, you know what I mean, for the same height going down the whole street or anything like that. I mean, there is a mixed mash of heights and sizes or
Correct.
widths. I mean,
But I think that the look of the Woolworth building, and when you go and put the addition on, that's such a major change to what you see there. I'm just uncomfortable with it. That's my own opinion.
So the project is allowed by zoning to have this height, right?
Which is exactly the same as the.
Right.
One
It's
to its right.
similar. I think we could probably even go a couple feet higher than the ones adjacent. But how do you balance being able to do an addition or build a building that's permitted by zoning in a way that fits into a historic context?
That's a tough one.
And then too, and according to the guidelines, new additions are not supposed to match or try to emulate the historic structure. So I mean, I think there's enough difference in here that sets it apart. Not completely, but does set it
Right.
apart.
Right. And it's a tough one because it is so strong in its presence as it is.
I will say that we believe we've addressed all of your concerns from the previous meeting. We have intentionally made the detailing more consistent, I think, with the Woolworth building, even though our initial concept, I think, was more of a departure from the aesthetic of the Woolworth building intentionally.
Catching up to us?
Yeah.
Okay.
My only comment regarding the facade would be if there's a choice between 15 and 16 on pages for the separation of the windows. I believe 15 looks a little too louvered. So I would rather, in my opinion, see 14 to show the textural difference.
So the pattern,
On 14.
not the horizontal.
Yes. Yes.
Public comment?
Yeah.
Let them know we're moving on.
Can we move on to this one first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let them know we're moving on. Comment you're reading.
Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. If anyone wants to say anything, you could go to the podium, please.
You're going to read that first.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
you
one
can read
first.
that first.
Oh, Marcia, let me read this one first. Stay there. No, stay there. Sorry. Okay. This was sent today via email. I write in reference to the current proposal by Lou Hector to add 2 stories to the Woolworth building. As a concerned resident of Bethlehem, I urge HARB to reject this proposal for the following reasons. The current skyline of the historic buildings along Main Street represents the rich history of Bethlehem across the years. from the Moravian days to the Depression years. All buildings have the same heights of 3 to 4 stories except for the hotel, which was a special exception, which served as a beacon to attract new travelers by automobile. The Woolworth building itself is circa 1920, a 2-story addition raising the building's height to that of the Main Street Commons building will change the iconic and unique central, what does she mean there?
Crenulated.
Granulated.
Crenulated.
Crenulated skyline of the downtown by creating a wall of buildings typical of 21st century construction, which certainly would be a precedent for future developers to copy. And historic buildings should be seen as historic from all viewpoints. I live on the west side of Bethlehem and access the downtown via the Broad Street Bridge. The white wall that is proposed for Walnut Street should be modified to highlight the historic side of the building, not just the north side of the building. So you kind of address that. Moreover, the additional modern story will be visible from the new UNESCO historic site, ! Thank you for sharing my thoughts with the group. I regret I cannot attend the meeting. Cordially, Mary Toulouse, 1528 West Market Street, Bethlehem. Okay, Marcia.
Mary Toulouse is the chair of our neighborhood organization, Mount Airy Neighborhood Association. And I agree with her. I think that this, in my reading, this proposal violates 5 of the 10 guidelines that you are bound to follow. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 9, and finally number 10, which says that any changes to an existing building should be removable. Well, you can't build tons of concrete and steel on top of an existing building and remove it without destroying the building. This is not a good idea. It is in violation of both common sense and the guidelines that guide you. Historic preservation began about in the 1960s as a formal policy, about 60 years ago. At that time, it was linked with the 200th anniversary of the nation, and by implication, colonial period buildings and early 19th century buildings were given priority. But now, 60 years later, when we look at the passage of time and the contribution that buildings like this one have made to the history and the appearance of Bethlehem, we've gotten a little bit smarter. We realize that every building, as was quoted by Connie, is a product of its time, place, and use. And when you walk down Main Street of Bethlehem, you can see that buildings exist from the earliest Moravian buildings well into the 19th and the 20th century. This isn't the case for many historic districts. Many of those early buildings are gone. Many of the 20th century buildings were never built because the community had fallen into decline. So the question is, what does this Main Street tell us about the history of Bethlehem? Well, it says that Bethlehem was prosperous and important in the beginning, and it maintained its prosperity through industrial development. Canal came, many things changed. We all know that one of the basic reasons for that was Bethlehem steel, and that's important to our history. I'm not going to go in detail about whether you like or dislike this windows or that window or whether this material is better, because the basic premise is wrong. It violates Secretary of Interior standards. It suggests that the Woolworth building itself isn't good enough as it is, when it is a building that should be valued. We've lost many of them across the country. It's a building that talks about the change in business and mercantile practices across the country. For that reason alone, I'm not going to get into any of the details. Be like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. In both that case and the Woolworth Building case, this proposal is threatening the existence of an important historical artifact. I urge you to turn it down. Thank you.
Marcia, just,
Marcia,
I was trying to catch up. Can you just cite the numbers of the Secretary and Interior standards again that you cited?
it's 1, 3, 9, and 10.
Thank you.
I know you all know this by heart.
Kind of.
Thanks.
Thank you, Marcia.
Good evening. I'm Chris Carson, longtime resident of Bethlehem. I'm also now well into my fourth decade in the architectural and construction industry with a good deal of experience in historic preservation. I'm here tonight as a concerned citizen with a deep appreciation of the asset we have in our historic downtown, its history and material presence. I spent almost a decade in my early career working on a host of the buildings within the jurisdiction that you are reviewing here tonight and do on a monthly basis. I want to state off the top that there have always been and will always be a dialogue that includes competing visions for the future of our downtown. Dialogue of this sort has shaped the appearance and function of the Main Street corridor we appreciate today, and one could argue for centuries, and is characterized by the back and forth of ideas and motives that we're going through again here this evening. Just like tonight. I believe we can boast, unlike many downtowns across Pennsylvania, that the stewards of our community have generally debated well and arrived at truths that value the big picture interests of Bethlehem's residents. Our beautiful, vibrant, historic downtown is arguably the apex example of this process working. We cannot take this remarkable asset for granted. I fear we have begun to. I also want to make it clear that I truly believe in projects like this. The interest it demonstrates in investing our city. And the developer behind this project has done good work here, including projects on Main Street, and is taking super care of the Woolworth building to date. I also want to make it clear tonight I'm here, however, to oppose the COA for this project as resubmitted. The project as presented, in my opinion, will have an adverse effect upon this individual resource and more broadly, the district, which I emphasize here, the ensemble it is a part of. The current design iteration does not successfully respond to the city's application of the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation that underpin its design guidelines. I'll share a few observations to support this. First, while the standards and guidelines do acknowledge the need at times for additions, and I'll add new construction, they do so, however, with an overlay of great caution. They were formulated with an ethos of do no harm. The standards and guidelines truly only support additions such as this when they are necessary for the continued use of a property or they are necessary for the needs of the property owner. I'll pose two questions. Is the proposed addition, two-story addition, necessary to continue the successful use of the structure in question? Question two, is the two-story addition proposed here necessary for the needs of the owner. Or stated a little differently, would denying this application or considering a dialed back version of it this truly create a hardship for the owner? The Woolworth building appears to have full tenancy, and its storefront businesses, by my estimation, are as vibrant as any on Main Street. A second observation. The proposed addition alters the Woolworth building appreciably. The standards and guidelines discourage this. The proposed addition probably triples the volume. It more relevantly diminishes the single-story gym that we have there today, that these 2 additional stories will be stacked upon. The 6-foot setback offered will not adequately offset the visual impact of the additional height on either this resource or the context of Main Street's north end, which is in part characterized by a receding height of its structures relative to the south end, Central Moravian Church, the Hotel B. The area of Main Street the Woolworth building occupies breathes a bit today, as it must if we are sincerely interested here in historic integrity. I might remind folks, this more open environment was accentuated and capitalized upon by those who worked extremely hard in the 1970s and 80s, who worked extremely hard in the 1978 and 80s to save the Sun Inn. The Sun Inn is an anchor building today. The stakeholders in that project 50 years ago, I knew several of them, very deliberately carved out a context for the Sun Inn, which was consumed and lost within its surrounding construction. There is no building north of the inn for a reason. There is no building behind the inn for a reason. They reclaim the inn's identity. So from its earliest days as a planned community, Main Street's North End was characterized by the diminishing nature of the skyline there. The standards and guidelines implore us to consider the impact of a project on its surroundings and its neighbors, the ensemble which this building is a part of. And my third and final observation, and I'll build upon the last point regarding the setback here. I want to draw your attention to the rendering of the project with the 2-story addition. I'd love the visual on the screen, but I don't have that. The rendering I believe is provided is inaccurate. While the setback illustrated in the rendering seeks to offer a respite to the massing that would be realized if the additional 2 stories were pulled flush, the rendering does not depict the removal of a significant portion of the returning brick and limestone coped parapet that will occur if this building is set back only 6 feet from the facade. The reduced size of this return parapet will diminish the visual effect of that setback. The brick mass of the new structure will emerge well in front of the gable roof of the little federal style building sitting next door at 551. That's not clear in the visual you have. An imposing verticality and massing will be realized in the reimagined building from any vantage point along Main Street. And most significantly, as seen in this visual and across the street standing in front of the Sun Inn. But this, by my reading and professional experience, is frowned upon by the Secretary of Interior Standards. In conclusion, I thank you. Again, I encourage thoughtful investment in our downtown that balances the big picture interests of its past and its future. The project, as presented, in my opinion, does not meet the mark.
Sir, do you have a copy of that you'd be willing to? It will help me in my minutes. Thanks. No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay,
I'd like to speak as a resident, please.
sure. Absolutely.
My name's Todd Chambers. I live on the north side of Bethlehem, within the city. I'm a proud member of the Southside Historic Conservation Commission. And when Lou Pector approached me about this project, I was enthusiastically ready to tackle this challenge, as I believe strongly that downtown Bethlehem needs additional housing. We have a local housing crisis. We have a larger picture housing crisis, and this project fulfills that need in the city, and it puts residents directly where we need to add residences in our downtown. We have approached this project with a delicate touch, come to the table with what we believe is an appropriate solution to this design. And I fully support it as a resident. Of course, you could take that with a grain of salt because I'm part of the author of the design, but I think that it's absolutely appropriate and it's a good thing for our city. And I don't think that you can say that Main Street will exist as it is in perpetuity. There will be the need for alterations to it through the course of its history. We are living history right now. And, I really believe that the addition that we have proposed is appropriate for this structure. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Give Joe a second to catch up to his writing here.
Do you have something you can hit? I'm good.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'd like to correct the record of one thing.
Mhm.
There was a comment made about Woolworth doing very well. Woolworth is about 18% occupied. The building is obsolete in terms of the floor plan. Got to put a lot of money into it to make this thing profitable. Social Security left, they were the anchor tenant. There's a small retail tenant out front. Faced with what money to spend on the building, I've got to have economies of scale to make it make sense. While I respect your opinion, that's fine, but we really have to weigh heavily what our alternatives should be going forward, because that building will not be economically feasible to make it. I've got my own decision to make.
I'm just curious. I don't know if I have the right to ask this, but why did Social Security leave?
Politically, they were enticed to come downtown when they bought the building originally. And the administration back then wanted us to make every effort to bring Social Security back downtown because of creating traffic. We bought this building, refurbished it for that reason. Social Security only said they wanted to go downtown. Unbeknownst to us, they were out, they redated it, budget costs, budget considerations made them find cheaper space. I mean, 512 and one of the buildings. We could not compete with that rental rate. You have minimal office space in the second floor of the building. It's deceiving. It looks like it has second floor office space. Some scale it doesn't. It's only about 3,000 feet up. So, we make a decision. We have to build. If this made sense, we would be investing $8 to $10 million in what you see in front of you. Big investment, but made sense based on what we were proposing. Class A building, Class A residential. If the desire is not to do that, from the powers that be, we understand that. We act accordingly.
Thank you. Okay. Ready for motion? You want to run with it?
Go ahead.
I move to deny this project based on what HARB has to follow. which are the design principles of scale, height, and width, building form and massing. The Secretary of Interior Standards, saying that a property will be used as it was historically, to be given use that requires minimal change to all the distinctive materials, et cetera. Each property will be recognized as a physical record of its time, its place. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction will not destroy historic materials, which I kind of thought that it might ruin that cornice, but I wasn't really sure, but thank you for pointing that out. New additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. So that's not going to happen. So based on, anything is possible, yes. So based on, but right now, these guidelines that we do follow, I move that we deny.
For the sake of the minutes, can you just read me the numbers that you were citing there?
As far as
The numbers of the,
yeah, this one's 1, 3, 9, and 10.
Before a second, is this still up for discussion or?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because,
well, there's been a motion made.
right, I just want.
I'll second
Is
it.
there a second? Okay, now further comment.
Yep. So last month we met on this and we laid out specific guidelines for what we would approve. We tabled it with the motion for them to come back and correct. This month they come back with the corrections, and now we're citing the Secretaries of Interior Standards guidelines. I'm a bit confused from my seat is why it seems like we're moving the goal line here when we talk to some of these people, when we tell them that they need to do X, Y, and Z. It's a window issue. It's a, we didn't like the windows. We didn't like this. And then when it comes back to us, now we're like, oh, well, it doesn't fit the skyline. Well, we should have mentioned that, I feel, last month.
You're right, Mike. So sometimes you sit back and you digest things a little bit.
But I think
after
we
a
need to do a
while.
better job of digesting the first time then, because if we went through this a bit with the Walnut Street Garage and some other projects.
Right.
If we're gonna give guidance and we're gonna tell people why we're denying their project for whatever reason it may be, that we're very clear that if they correct X, Y, and Z, that project is most likely going to be approved.
Mike, we didn't deny it. We tabled it.
That's right.
With conditions for them to come back.
We tabled
I
it.
didn't say we denied it. I said we tabled it with conditions for them to come back and prove to us. Materials, setbacks, the windows was another item that we mentioned, and that's what they brought back.
But the setback was a big, long discussion when Nick was here.
Okay, all right.
So
I mean,
thank you,
that's
Mike,
my
for
piece.
your comments. I'd also like to offer a slight correction. We've come to this group twice. We had an informal meeting with the historic officer and the chairperson to discuss our proposal. Everybody was comfortable with our approach, and so we brought it to the board. So we've been here twice, and there's been no mention of a skyline or concern over the additional 2 stories.
Excuse me, I did ask if this could be shrunk by a story. And last time, I was told that it was feasibly, monetarily impossible.
And you've only been to the board once.
Right.
I mean, to say because you went to an informal meeting, I never knew anything about it until I came in.
I understand that. And there has been more than one opportunity for someone to mention that the scale of the structure is not appropriate. So I want to use-
You guys waiting for me?
Mhm.
Sorry.
Can get you a tape recorder.
That's all right. I need shorthand, right?
Go back and look at it on
Right.
YouTube. Yeah, it's all on YouTube anyway.
All right. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none. There's a motion on the table made by Connie. It's been seconded by Joe. Take a roll call vote on this motion. Connie, obviously. Diana,
Aye.
Joe, Mike,
Nay.
nay. So the motion passes 3-1. Excuse me.
Okay, 79 West Market Street. Hi there.
Hi there.
Look at that, right on time. That's exactly, Connie. That was good. Just give me a second.
Yep.
I got to regroup here. Much stuff to keep
Just got to clear the decks here a bit.
Alrighty. All right. The applicant, owner of the property located at 79 West Market Street, proposes to install a 24-inch diameter double-sided sign with the text "Glow by Laser" attached to a scroll bracket. The sign will be manufactured from 3/4-inch thick MDO and will be hung from a scroll bracket. Is that a new bracket or is that an existing bracket? A new bracket. Okay. And it's going to be hung from the bracket by way of eye hooks that go into the sign and link clips from those eye hooks to the scroll bracket. Do you know how high above grade the bottom of the sign will be to the sidewalk?
I can be used because he had recently had a shoulder surgery. So it has to be high enough so people who's walking, from the corner from West Market is going to be visible and above, obviously.
Do you have a picture? I have a picture of it if you want to look at. Yeah, we have pictures. It's just, it looks pretty high.
So is this above the level sidewalk that actually leads to the door?
Copy your application.
Correct, yes, thank you.
But it's hanging above the ramp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at the third page of the application, so I mean, I guess what I'm just trying to determine is it'll be a minimum of 8 feet.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Which it looks like it will.
It looks like it's in the, it does, but it looks like it's in the middle of that ramp too.
So it would be, average.
Yeah.
So what we were planning on to have the sign, so somewhere around here.
Oh,
Oh geez, that's more,
Yeah.
that high up?
I mean, I don't know how high it is. Whatever the signs are usually
See,
hanging,
that's
you know.
that's not what's shown here. It's shown more.
Whatever
above
the
this stone.
signs are usually on that
it
street.
looks like it's right above that brick band or that stone
The
band.
stone band.
Well, is it, the third page has a mock-up of the sign on the building.
Right.
Right, but the
Is that
door is
what
number
it has?
79, right? Are you going to put it above your door or to the left or to the right of the door? Or are you going to put it above the awning?
So you're right, it's right above where the stone and then the brick start.
Okay.
But that's part of the left of your entrance door though, correct?
It is.
Because your
It
door,
is-
your entrance door is under the awning,
On
right?
the left,
Right.
yes, correct.
Yeah. Is that part of your building?
It should be part of the building.
Okay.
Towards the building, yes.
Well, I mean, the 79, when you go, if you went in that door on 79 on the second page, can you go back left? Like, are you hanging your,
That's where we are.
okay.
Yes.
So the sign is actually representative of where your space is, not necessarily your door, because this looks like there's two pieces to this building. One is
It looks like it's
a
on the wrong
nondescript
building.
stucco building, and the other one.
Door, and this is
Show
our
us on your,
space
on,
with
show us
the
on this
windows.
page.
Show us on this drawing.
Show us on this page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, on this page, right?
Second page, yeah.
This is the-
No,
Yep.
the
No, the
one
other one.
before it, please.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. You can put your stuff down if you want.
Here.
So where the window is, that, as you can see the sign here, which we just put up temporary there. This is
Right.
our space here.
Yeah,
I
which
see.
is
And that's where
confusing,
the sign's going to
right?
be.
Because your door's there.
So the door is there, it's not just our door, it goes into a hallway where the
Ah.
other businesses are.
Got ya.
Yeah,
Okay.
Got it, got it, got it.
and as you walk in, the left side is our door,
Okay.
which is pretty much matches,
So 79 is an address for multiple different
Correct.
units. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I'll just note that it needs to be a minimum.
And when you
of
walk in the
8
door,
feet
you're
to
going to the
bottom.
left.
Right.
yes.
So you're actually going into the building where those windows are then.
Yes, so this is our space where you see the window.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Question
answers
is,
the
she's got a
question.
24-inch. She's got a 24-inch bracket. You have a 24-inch bracket and a 24-inch diameter.
No, it's a bigger bracket than 24 inches. It's,
Oh,
I think that's the sign,
that's
right?
the sign. That's the sign.
That's the sign. That's the sign. But then the diameter is 24.
Correct.
But
That's not the
Bracket is-
dimension of the bracket.
oh,
The
so that
is-
bracket is
the
a
bracket-
little bit
30.
The
longer.
brackets from there to there,
Yeah, it's probably another 3 inches or.
whatever that difference is on each side.
Trust in this drawing.
Usually when new brackets are put up, we ask that the bracket be screwed into the mortar joints, not into the brick.
I believe the application did
Does that,
say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
does that say
Yep.
that?
It did.
Okay,
The sign design, they're aware of that.
Okay, great.
That's why we actually hired them to do this, because they have experience.
perfect. And the logo on the sign is your logo, correct? And they're your company colors.
I love the history. My father is from Moravia. I was born and raised in Moravia. So when we found this office space, I was ecstatic.
Have fun.
I looked many before, and this just really felt like home.
Good. So the color of the sign is going to be brown, but I don't think there was a text and border color
This is like,
stated.
Is it gold?
so the lettering is, but the sign is brown.
The lettering is what color?
Gold?
Gold.
Gold. Okay. Okay.
Is it gold paint or metallic gold?
It's metallic gold.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the sign? I'm sorry. What is the sign made of? Is it?
It's 3/4 inch MDO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just have to, in the motion, we just have to make sure that it's noted that it's to be, the bottom of the sign has to be 8 feet.
I'd also,
I mean, it looks like it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would also note that maybe, do we want to mention something about the scroll bracket? It has to be at least a minimum of 30 inches.
Yes.
fine.
whatever you see here, it's none of it comes from me.
No, we understand. We just need to be very specific so that when they go to put it up, they put the right thing up.
Yeah, so we have 6 inches of weight,
We'll have 3 inches on each side.
Yeah, 3 inches on each side.
3 inches, 6
Yep.
inches left over, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm prepared to make a motion.
excellent.
1 second.
I would like to make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness to be issued to 79 West Market Street for the sign as it's been designed, sign and bracket as they've been proposed. As noted, the bracket should be 30 inches to a 24-inch round sign. The sign, the lowest, the sign should hang at least 8 feet from the ground at a minimum. Mortar joints will be, the screws of the sign will be, or the screws of the bracket will be put in mortar joints. I think that's it.
Just, if you're okay, it should be 8 feet above grade to the bottom of the sign.
Okay.
Just-
Yes.
You said hung, so that.
Oh,
could
I
mean-
see. All right. The sign should be 8 feet above
Ground height.
Cartway.
at minimum, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, motion's been made by Diana. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Connie. Joe
Yes.
and Mike.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need another copy?
You want some,
All right.
we can give you 4 more.
Yeah, right.
You guys will let us, the designer of the sign, right?
Yeah. So next steps, this is only a recommending body. So our recommendation will go to council. Council will vote on it. And then once it's approved by council, you'll receive the formal letter out. You too.
Take care, bye-bye.
Thank you. 476 North New.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, and yourself?
Great.
You've got 2 right there.
You need 3? You have 2 here.
Oh, you
Okay,
need
good.
3.
Good, good, good.
Okay.
A party.
Yeah.
Yep, let me just lead into it. So the applicant owner of the property located at 476 North New Street proposes to replace wood siding around the entire house, paint the siding, trim foundation, doors, and porch floor, and restore the porch that faces North New Street. In the application, it said Market Street, I think, or there was some confusion, but I mean, there's only, when you see the renderings, the porch is facing New Street, right? Okay.
We do have a door.
Right, but it's got a pedimented hood on that, so yeah. So the proposed siding is cedar with a 5-inch reveal. The color given was the Benjamin Moore Pearl. The trims paint color is the Benjamin Moore again, Jamesboro Gold. Foundation wall, Benjamin Moore Coal Stone. The door paint color, Benjamin Moore Dunmore Cream. Porch floor is listed as wood decking. Paint color to be Benjamin Moore Pelham Gray. There was also reference to a sparrow in there. Can you just confirm which color that's going to be? One location, I think.
That was a mistake, and that's why, yeah.
Which one is it? Pelham Gray. Okay, cool. Porch roof, standing seam metal roof with Dutch seam and built-in gutter. The color to be charcoal gray. And the porch columns are 10-inch round with an ionic capital and a Tuscan base. Character defining features is a 2.5-story horizontal sided residence. Top of a cross gabled roof. It contains 2 barrel or curved roof dormers facing North New Street. The roof is supported by a heavy Medallion supported cornice above a deep frieze. The frieze is supported by pilasters on each end of the New Street facade. Roof water is collected in recessed gutters and conveyed to the ground in segmented round downspouts painted to match the color of the trims. The facade is punctuated with 6/1 light double hung windows with minimal trim on the second floor and a diamond pattern mutton configuration over single light on the first floor with heavier trims and hood details at the heads. Entrance door is surrounded by side lights containing an ornate light pattern on each side of the door. The entrance door and side lights are highlighted by pilasters on either side and a deep multi-layered hood above. There's a concrete landing at the door for the width of the door and the side light grouping, and it's raised approximately 3 steps above grade, and it is fitted with black metal hand and guardrails. The applicant did provide a photograph in their packet of a historical photograph showing what had been there at one point in time along with their other documentation. So I'll stop there and see if you guys have anything else you want to personally add.
The porch, the original building, based on the historical photo, had a wraparound porch and with plaster finish in the building. And siding was added later. Some of that detailing is visible where the siding was installed behind the pilasters. Yeah, smaller than the thickness of the original plaster. I do have 2 larger formatted and maybe more detailed rendered sets of drawings.
Sure. Put one here and take one down. Yeah.
Okay, you have the smaller version.
Yeah, I have the small.
I tried scanning the photo, and it was even at 40 megabytes. It wasn't detailed. Yeah, it picked up a lot of detail. And what appeared that they did was replace the moldings above the doorway when they removed the porch from the original. So we took that based on the photo and based on what was there, and used that as the porch surround above the column, because it seemed to be pretty much an exact representation of the original porch. And the other details we discovered were available from HBG Building Products in a synthetic. The columns and the capitals are almost an exact match of the parts of the column. And they are not wood, though. They are load-bearing polymer fiberglass.
Can you?
Sure. We all know that,
So these is the column capital and base material.
Correct.
That's similar to what we approved last time. You said you were familiar with Bill.
So is that what was previously known as like a boral material?
Actually, board material is more of a.
Oh, look at you.
Is more of a synthetic, or it's not a urethane, but it's a composite. It's a cementitious composite material.
Right. So just talk about the makeup of this again.
Yeah. Oh.
Can you just describe the makeup
Yeah,
of this material again?
that's I believe it's a fiberglass load-bearing material. I mean, I have the whole catalog here. The capital itself seemed to match, I guess it's called a stability. I can't say I'm familiar with the terminology, but it's sort of like an ionic, short ionic capital. And the parts are, like I said, you can pretty much, pick from the book what matched the photo, and this is what I did, and assembled them in the drawing. It's called permacast, okay, so it's a proprietary material that is not wood-based. It is a fiberglass material, brand name. It's meant to replicate that.
And then that'll be painted?
That would be. You would probably use a boral similar material for the soffit of the ceiling, which is a tongue groove, de-groove, beaded material. Again, replicated wood, board, and batten. And the metal is ATAS standard seam, roofing, and we'll do a built better to match what was there. The downspout is visible in the photo, so we know that it was built better. And we took some artistic license with the skirt around the base of the porch. They have a Arabian Star light. We're doing a two-dimensional relief of that.
This
under
is the boral
for
type
ventilation
material. That's the
purposes.
permacast.
So it's not just a standard lattice. For
Mhm.
so,
That's custom.
there is a gas meter that we're looking at moving. I show it on the outside of the porch, relocated. If there's a way to, and we're gonna have to talk to the gas company about this. With the ventilation, we're hoping we're gonna have to build over and around it with access to it. I'm showing it in the worst possible condition, it would be outside the porch.
Right.
We can enclose it and allow it to, underneath.
So hopefully under the porch.
What's that?
Hopefully under the porch.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you
Which is
need
where it is now.
a gas meter.
Yeah, that's totally up to the utilities.
Yeah, exactly. So, we would provide some sort of access, either a flip up and, so that
Sure.
we needed access to it. But I'm showing it outside and relocated in the current scheme. If it's under the porch, you won't see it.
And you said you're located it outside. That's where it currently is?
No, well, it's closer, the porch is wider than what's there now.
Correct.
That widened porch would have put it underneath.
Okay.
So I'm saying, let's assume for discussion, we're relocating it and we're asking for approval for it outside the edge of the porch. And then if they allow us to.
Just keep it there.
they
It'll
allow
be
us to
under the
keep it,
porch.
Yeah.
We will.
How long ago did they move it? Do you know?
When I moved in.
Okay, so it wasn't too long ago, right? Yeah, okay.
So they'll be happy to do it.
I'm sure.
I have a general question. Some of this rendering has a flat roof, and then, so we're proposing, so are you,
Yeah. That one caught me too.
It's a
It
low
looks flat in the rendering, but it's
Just because
it's a
it's
low
going up
slope
this way.
roof. Yeah.
okay, all right,
Originally, there was a balcony around that porch.
Yes,
with no
mhm.
window access. So
Right.
It's like a full railing.
hmm
We decided not to go that route. But we didn't continue the porch wraparound, which was originally right there, the parking area.
So then this roof will be a metal roof?
Correct.
And what color will it be?
Standing seam.
Pardon me?
Right.
Yeah, I mentioned,
I'm sorry.
was
I-
it charcoal gray? I forget.
There is
I
a
think it
lot
was
of
charcoal.
information going on.
Yeah,
I was like,
no. I
I
think it was-
apologize for not,
I do have some questions. I just like to be particular about standing seam roofs to make sure. Can you just state for the record, do you know kind of the dimension and profile of the seams? Want to make sure we're not getting real tall and real wide.
There would
wide
be the, what they call a Dutch lap, which would be, this profile.
Right. Okay. So just so everyone
Dutch
knows,
seam, yeah.
the question, we want narrow and
Mhm.
not real high seams, which are more traditional.
And
We
these
don't
are-
want them.
These are snap, they're not custom fabricated.
Okay.
so then this trim is going where?
That would, the material would be the soffit of the ceiling, which would be, I think I have the profiles here. Profiles actually here. So it would be similar to that, which would be, they
I
took the
see.
profiles from wood and ran it in that material.
And then is
So is
it,
that like a traditional roofer board?
Yeah.
Like
It's
a
a
So is that a
beadboard.
1x6 board for the ceiling?
Well, it's like a double.
and why wouldn't you use
Right,
just?
but it's a 1x6 board.
Right.
The overall board is one, yeah, so it's the 6-inch.
So this is in that material that Diane is holding.
Yes.
And I think I knew what you're going to ask.
Yeah, there's a rough side and a smooth
It would be
side,
awesome.
all smooth.
So why
Oh,
wouldn't,
that's just a sample of the
Okay,
basic
but-
material.
Yeah.
It would be thin.
But my other question is why would you not do it in a wooden beadboard?
We are using wood for the trim just because the profiles are going to be not custom, but we're going to try to match the wood profiles around the perimeter. This is just a convenience for durability.
Mm.
Painting, it doesn't absorb moisture, so the paint doesn't come off. The exterior is going to be overhung in slope, standard molding that we'll use to match from what's there. Why picking wood? It's just a convenience of, knots.
So you're
Well-
bringing this back to original.
Yeah.
So the wood would be,
Yeah, would be preferred.
Understood.
1x6, single beadboard.
can I quick sidebar on this?
Excuse me?
Can I quick sidebar on this? When I first moved into Bethlehem, I did an architectural walk around with an architect, and he stood outside this house and he said, anybody see anything wrong with this? So everybody, of course, looked at the windows, and he said, well, why do you think that is? And obviously it was an addition that was put on.
Yeah, it's asymmetrical over the
Yeah,
door.
yeah. So it just like
transform.
brings, yeah,
I wouldn't be
just
surprised
brought
if
that
it
back.
was,
Right
this and
there,
that.
exactly.
And then they just unified it by just,
So originally it must have been only that big, right?
I see what you're saying.
because this window is, all the first floor windows are, asymmetrical.
Yeah,
in
and
terms
this,
of the
even
height.
the dormer was off.
Yeah. Like I said, from the original photo, you can see that it's a stucco.
Yeah,
All that stucco was removed, replaced with wood and eventually deteriorated, which is why they replace it now.
Just, I know I just went through this, but remind me the porch floor is going to be wood decking, right? So what is the dimension? This is one thing that we pay close attention to. What are,
Probably 1x4.
okay,
I mean, groove.
good answer. We've had some people come in and want to do, really wide boards or something.
Oh,
and it's just
yeah.
not the traditional porch floor.
I'm leaving with what I.
Yeah.
So you see the inside floorboards. Which are really wide.
Well, that's okay. That's Kingswood, right? So that's supposed to be wide, if it's really wide.
And the metal railing will just be stock, iron welded. Limbs on the rails.
Painted black, standard iron railing painted black.
doesn't this railing have to extend on the steps?
What's that?
Does the railing have to extend beyond the steps or not?
Just the actual rail on
The handrail,
top does, yeah, not the
It
entire.
obviously needs to be
Body.
code compliant, which Mike will
Yeah,
check on when
I
he
mean,
gets
you're gonna have to have a
inside.
return on that top rail.
Yeah, well.
Right.
in my computer program.
Well, but yeah, but I mean, this is just
Yeah.
approving in theory, not necessarily, right.
We don't think it'll be higher than 30, so we're not looking to grab anything.
Gotcha.
Some dirt.
Right.
Close. On the left.
Yeah, it'd probably be pretty close.
Okay, let me see. No, I'm good. My questions are answered.
Now the specs do say tongue and groove wood trim on the ceiling, wood ceiling.
So the drawings say tongue and
Drawing,
wood trim on the ceiling. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So, okay. So we'll change that. Porch ceiling, tongue and groove wood.
So then the only synthetic that's going to be used is the columns, correct?
These are all, these are all accurate.
Yes.
Okay. You have that, Joe?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, first floor CW70.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I was just trying to prove that I looked at both, that's all.
Well, since it does say that it's tongue and groove wood on the ceiling, I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay. Yep, and I have that noted that they agreed to do it in wood.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by, excuse me, made by Mike, seconded by Connie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Diana
Yes.
and Joe.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for providing images and details
And
and,
touchy things.
and information.
Are you gonna keep the little sign on the outside?
Well, so you have a hanger there
Yeah.
for a sign. I guess we're gonna remove.
Oh, I'll
it.
keep them.
Oh,
Just,
I guess we're gonna remove that because I wouldn't be hanging it.
right.
But the oval in the front, I don't know what I want to do. The previous owners have left us with this photograph and another one.
Mhm.
So I think I want the gentleman doing the siding to literally cut it out and make another picture box of it,
Oh, yeah.
and then save it to stay with the house forever.
Right. Even if you move it inside or whatever.
Inside,
Yeah.
I mean, the paint started peeling, so I was getting my screwdriver. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna damage it. I don't wanna touch the chipped paint. So I think I'm just gonna picture box it and it stays with the home because it'll be around longer. So,
We all
Thank you
have-
again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Take care. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
I lost my list here.
33.
Thank you. 233 East Church.
How are you all?
Good evening.
Good.
How you doing? All righty.
Thank you. For
The applicant owner of the property located at 233 East Church Street proposes to remove a decaying patio roof and replace it with a freestanding second floor deck in the same footprint as the existing patio roof. The character defining features is 2.5-story brick structure with a cross gabled roof punctuated by a central gable roof dormer. It's the left half of the twin home that faces East Church Street. Application being considered is at the rear of the structure and is likely not visible from any public way. However, I mean, you can see it from the alley behind the house. I mean, there's limited view. Yeah, very limited view. There's a garage directly in front of it, but where the parking spaces are, I mean, there's glimpses of it from the alley, but certainly not from the primary streets around it. The area of the proposed work is characterized by the main brick structure with a frame enclosed side porch addition on the first and second floors. That's when you're looking at it from the rear. And a one-story gabled roof frame addition that extends from the rear of the main brick portion of the home, which is centered on the two homes actually. The porch roof to be removed extends from just below the soffit and fascia of this rear frame addition and extends to just past the exterior wall of the frame and what I'm calling the framed enclosed porch addition on the side of the home. So this porch roof sticks a foot maybe past the side of the house. Like if you're looking from East Church, yeah, I mean it's not a big deal. I have to admit, I have not seen this detailed drawing yet. So my first question was going to be, what does it look like? The information we got prior to the meeting didn't have this. So So that will be accessed from that second floor, what I'm calling the enclosed porch, right? And you'll have to add a door there. Oh, right. Right. Yeah. So you can see at the bottom left of the drawing here, it says existing rear elevation.
Mhm.
There's a pair of windows there. If you look directly above that, you'll see that those pair of windows are going to become a door.
Got it. With a balcony.
With a balcony.
And then does the balcony extend, how much further from does the proposed balcony extend further than the porch shed roof that's going to be removed? Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that being said. Do you have to replace any gutters on your house with this change? And then everything's going to be constructed out of wood? Where would you be putting composite and what?
That board itself, so
Okay.
maybe vinyl wrap or
You don't have anything selected as of,
first hurdle.
okay, so then you're going to come back to us with samples so that we can look at the finish.
Colors and everything else. So guidelines just
Uh-huh. So,
I'm sorry.
okay.
So I guess let's just go one by one. It
Yep.
looks to me like the main structure is proposed to be wood.
Yes.
So yeah, and there are details which you'll need this stuff when you submit to the code department. So that's good. Yep. So it's called out to be a 36-inch high vinyl railing set at 39 inches above the deck boards. So that's what the railing is called out to be. It's called to be vinyl. The deck boards are called out to be 1 1/4 by 5 1/4 deck boards. Doesn't say anything about composite. Just says deck boards. And it looks like all the other framing, the support framing is wood. It's and they're calling it ground contact trim board. Does that mean pressure treated?
I would assume so.
Okay, so the details are calling for ground contact trim board, ground contact post. So we're assuming that means pressure treated.
Should it be pressure treated in the historic district or should it be solid wood?
Well,
I'm asking the architect.
I think this all hinges on how visible you think it is from the public
all
way.
right, got your point. Well,
All hinges on what?
You
visible.
you will remember there was a time that someone went and built a deck on the ground,
Yes.
and we asked them to take it up, to
Take it,
dismantle
remove
it
it, yes.
and build it in a different way.
Correct.
So
And what
that
was
was
the-
visible from that was
Right.
right on the main street at street level,
On an alley, I believe, right?
but right on the main street
Yeah.
too. It was on the corner of an alley and a main street. So, I would say if this were someone's front porch, we would not be considering pressure treated material. I don't, I'm looking,
Or vinyl spindles.
right. I don't see anything where it says anything about composite deck boards or anything wrapped, whether the pressure treated is wrapped in vinyl or aluminum. I don't see that on the drawing. I could be missing it.
Well, on the top, on your far right, on it, the typical deck frame, what's the first thing says 36-inch vinyl.
Right. The handrails,
the handrail.
guardrails
Yeah.
are definitely listed as vinyl.
Okay.
I mean, there's no question that the attachments and stuff would have to meet code, and that would be something that the building department would make
Right.
sure meets code at the time.
Okay, but now that, oh, the garage blocks the view. Okay. I'm just thinking now that you see the port or the balcony, could you see that from the roadway?
Well,
But there's a garage in front of it.
so if I can, it's way back there. This is the garage. This is the car.
Got it.
You're not going to see that. You're not going to see this.
You
From,
zoom in over the car.
You'll
I mean, you really can't see the porch off to the side. You
Here,
see the
look.
main brick,
Yeah.
the main brick portion of it.
Right. Okay.
that's Wesley Street back there, and that's.
So
Yep.
there's
Yes.
the garage. Which
I mean,
is
it's
behind
like-
it.
Yeah.
What we're talking about.
Yeah, I walked over there.
Right.
today.
Or someone screaming at you saying, over
It's
here.
gonna be tough. I just, yeah, yep.
Okay. I think what I'm concerned about is the use of vinyl and composite. However, since it cannot be seen from the street, that helps tremendously. Understood.
But you don't want me to do that.
Well, I don't think it's going to be necessary if you can't see it from the street.
But that's not what he's proposing here, though. I just want to be clear. He's proposing all wood deck and the vinyl railing. It's not, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I'm going to need to know one for the permit style.
Right. But I was thinking about the vinyl railing itself, asking if it could be seen from the street.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's right. We
It's not
agree.
going to. I mean,
And that's my point, is that it's not going to be seen from the street. It's not going to be prominent.
Oh, I
need a
don't-
drone.
Need a drone. Nobody
Yeah.
don't need a drone.
Yeah. The only other thing that, the change, and there's nothing mentioned about it. And again, if we feel this is not viewed from the public way, is the door. There's no mention. I didn't see
Oh, good
anywhere of
point.
what the door's going to be.
Mhm.
Do you
but-
have any idea what the door's going to be? Is it going to be a wood door or?
Or a glass door, or,
Well, it looks like a glass door. The question is, what's the door made of?
Mhm.
Full light glass door.
Is that what room is that coming off of?
And I mean, the other thing technically, again, is the door doesn't fill the window opening, so they're going to have to
Finish the bottom.
reside around it.
Yeah.
I would recommend that the siding, whatever it is, it be matched.
Yeah.
That on that side porch is actually vinyl siding. So, I mean, I would, rather than put something on there that looks different, just, my note will be to match existing, whatever
Right,
that
and if
is.
it's not matching or you can't match it, then you're gonna have to come back.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that, to approve the removal of the decaying patio roof and replacement with a freestanding second floor deck and the same footprint as the existing patio roof in accordance with the discussion outlined above and the guideline citations outlined below. Per Joe.
Well said, Joe.
I think he prepared that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Joe, second by Connie. Was it? Diana, sorry. I want to get it wrong. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none.
Well, I guess the only other question is if there are any changes, then they would have to come back, right? Or not?
Well, we're approving it as a wood deck and vinyl railing. So if they change it, yes, they'd have to come back. We can only approve what's been stated on the drawing. All right. Connie.
Aye.
And Michael.
Aye.
Thank you. Carries unanimously. So you can talk to Mike at some point about getting it submitted with permits then.
Yeah, well, next step is council. You're gonna have to get council's approval at their next council meeting. And then once they approve that, they okay the recommendation that we make, then we can start working on the permit. You don't have to go to the council meeting. Council will get all of our minutes and our notes, and then they'll vote on it subsequent to this meeting, and then once you'll get a written. Yes. What does council meet? First and third Tuesday of every month? They
Might
just
meet-
met
we're
yesterday,
late. Yeah.
so it'll be in 2 weeks. So it'll be on the agenda in 2 weeks. Yeah. Yep. Probably by the end of January.
So then they send us something, then we have to go get permits. So that's-
Then you're gonna have to get permits. You're gonna have to submit these plans that and then they're gonna actually be reviewed for construction. Make sure they meet code and everything like that, and then we'll match that with the COA, what you just got here, to make sure that the materials that you're using are the approved materials and everything, and then we'll go from there.
Do you have that?
Yeah, we get it in our system after council approves
from
it, but yeah,
Valentine?
you'll get in the mail,
Here
when
it
you
is.
get your
Never mind.
approval, you'll get
Never
something
mind.
from council that says, this is what the HARB board approved.
We've heard that before.
This is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Would
wanna
you
sit-
like to join the
You want to
board?
sit up here?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do it. First of all, I don't have any experience with anything like building wise, but just the cases you must hear. What we heard tonight, especially with that first
Well, they don't come very often, thank goodness.
one. Yeah, yeah,
They get difficult.
I would think.
Keeping it simple.
Well, thank you for
Thank you very
coming.
much for
Thank
coming.
you very much. It was nice to meet you
Are
all.
we
You
going back
too.
to public comment?
Just have one general public comment.
Yes, Mr. Marty.
There you go. I made pictures. I wrote it out carefully. How many members are missing?
Two.
Two.
I don't know if somebody can give them. There's an extra copy for them, one for you. They love you too.
Oh.
All right, I'll keep this brief. Martin Romero. I live in the North Side Historic District, like the contractor that was doing the Woolworths presentation said. I did come on the September meeting, the first time the applicants came to put in the windows at 32 West Market and pointed out, as you guys agreed, that the windows weren't wooden. They were something else. So they had to come back with different windows. I never imagined that they would cut out the round topped windows and jam in square windows, which is shown on the picture on the third page. So I'm a little disappointed that they weren't replacing like for like. They've changed the shape of the windows. All the third floor windows on the flat part of West Market Street and 476 North New Street, who was one of the presenters tonight, they have a round feature to the top or the sides of their third floor windows. And that has been removed at 32 West Market. And if I had known that that's what they were going to do, I guess I would have objected to it, via email. I don't know what the secret email address is to contact HARB, but I had to work in October and November. I was unable to come to those meetings. And it was only after the December meeting that the contractor cut out the round top windows on the third floor and jammed in the square window, which is in the left-hand picture on page 3. And I just think that changes, what did somebody say about the Woolworth building, the tempo or the harmony of the street. I mean, all the third floor windows have a round feature to them, except now these third floor windows are completely square. And I'm just disappointed that nobody noticed that, and that I guess apparently that change is going to be permanent forever and ever. So I just wanted to come and point it out, and I don't know what can be done about it, probably nothing, but it's disappointing
It is disappointing.
that it was missed. And I mean, I guess it would have been nice if I had noticed that when I was here in September and objected to the vinyl windows. But I didn't think they would cut out the top.
So just for my
Please.
clarification, so I understand.
Go ahead.
I see the mutton, in the style of the muttons and the top ones, that's not a square pattern for the lights in the top sash. When you say the existing windows had a round top element on page 1 at the top there's kind of a lighter area that has an arched top. Was that something
That was part of the storm window that was put in, I believe, in the 60s. That was there before we moved in 1975.
So that was something that had been filled in before they came to, I'm just trying to.
Yes, that was a feature of the storm window that was put in, I believe, in the late 60s, early 70s.
So the windows that were there were replacement windows already.
No, only the storm window on top. The inside was the original wooden windows that matched the windows on page 2 that are 2 doors to the east at 18 and 20 West Market, the White House with the green shutters.
Right.
That was the cabinet maker. That was his house.
But did the windows at 3032, they didn't have all,
They now look like this.
they didn't have all those that heavy trim or anything around them that the ones.
Well, no, they were basically the same shape as the top ones. It was a 3/3. It was like a 6 window on the bottom, not a single
I see.
pane.
So the storm window was cutting off.
Was covering up
behind it.
Yes, it was covering it up.
Thank you. I'm.
No, that's okay. It's not easy to keep track of all the different things in
I'm
the
not
different
Not
houses.
at the best of health today, so it's
It's
taking
it's
a little
okay.
to sink in. Sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, but they basically cut out a square hole and put a rectangular window in.
I completely.
And it changes everything. So it's frustrating because the rest of the people in the neighborhood have tried to, do like for like and not change significant lines or curves on, street facing architectural features.
So just again to confirm. Oh, so they put a taller window in.
Right.
Yes, they cut the hole bigger to cover up the curve. They cut out the curve.
Because I'm like, the peeling paint is still there.
That doesn't even the permit says they've got to be replacing, Mike. Doesn't for the permit, don't you have to be replacing just in the existing opening?
Well, I mean, not for permit, it's a little bit different. If you're just putting replacement windows in, then they're like for like, you don't even need a permit.
Right.
If you're replacing a different size window, then you would need a permit.
And so they've replaced the different size window and they didn't get a permit.
Correct. That's
Well, did they
didn't
get a
come in-
permit?
Actually, what,
they wouldn't have had to
because I don't,
replace like for like windows.
Right.
Well, not like for like, but, you know, existing in same size.
I remember something like this happening when I first began sitting on the board, and there was an inspector who used to go out.
Mhm.
And what was his name? Tall guy, dark hair.
Oh.
Oh, Philip?
Philip.
yeah.
Bill Rader. He used to go out and inspect to make sure that what we approved was actually happening. Do we not have that anymore?
No, we do. I mean, I don't know if he got to this project in particular, but I mean, Phil's still with us. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to point it out. I don't want to disparage any property investors, whatever. I'm sure they're nice guys. They have families. They, want to make the house economically viable for rentals. That's all fine. I'm not against residents or anything like that. But I just think that's a significant change to the streetscape, and I just wanted to point it out.
So, thank you, Marty.
So whatever happens next, happens next. I'm not going to get
If you
lawyers
wanna-
or
no,
get
if you want to walk
placards.
out, we'll talk about
Right.
it.
So anyway, I hope you all have a happy new year. I hope
Thank
you get
you.
your
Thank
officers
you.
elected next month. And, I appreciate everything that everyone tries to do. I don't demand perfection from everyone, but I thought that this should be pointed out. So I took some pictures and put it together, and hopefully it'll be a little bit of guidance.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
And good luck with the things as they go before city council, because I know sometimes they don't respect your opinion, and that's disappointing too.
Mm.
But it's not your fault. All right. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So can
May
you
I
bring
move
this to
to-
Phil's attention?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a photographic memory, but I'm pretty sure those approvals were based on same size windows, mutton patterns, the normal
Right.
stuff. So
But this isn't the first one that, I mean, this is very prominent, but there have been other things that I've noticed that, like the K gutters versus the rounds, that they sneak them in. I think it feels like overnight.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
May I move to finish,
Adjourn.
adjourn the meeting?
Sorry.
sure.
well, don't we need some quick new
Oh,
business?
Yeah. So,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
I gotta just
And I
one
didn't
last.
mean to cut the conversation
No,
off.
that's
I just thought,
I got one last thing. Just I got a communication from someone wanting to know, they had two primary questions. They're a resident of Connecticut. It appears from the letter I received that they're going to possibly be purchasing a house in the historic district, and they had some questions regarding slate line shingles, whether or not they'd be approved, and then would HARB approve the removal of at least one chimney. A lot of this stuff, like I said, I handle over the counter, some of the questions, but like this one with the chimney, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page when I say that that needs to come in front of us. So I'm okay with saying that, yes, you can replace your slate shingle, with slate line
440
because they are in poor condition. But as far as removing
Two
any
chimneys.
items,
From High Street. This is from Wall Street. The other side.
Why did they need to remove the chimneys?
he doesn't. It just
Familiar
says
with the
that
house,
they're.
I sold it once.
It just says they are in poor repair. That's what his letter says. That's coming from him. I don't know.
So
I
that's
have.
from High.
I haven't.
I agree with you, Mike. I think that they should come
Okay.
before us.
That's fine.
I also think that they should come, but the other thing is, depending upon what chimney they want to remove, it's going to have a substantial change to what the building looks like. And I don't know. I mean, he's talking about that if you can't remove the chimney, it would be outrageously expensive. Is the chimney in use? What needs to be done? I mean, if you need to repoint the chimney, that's really not that big of a deal.
Right. And to get into these conversations, and I don't want to waste my time to get in these conversations and then tell him he still has to come to the board. Like I'd rather say, any determinations made by HARB has to be made, and just you need to come to the board. Like I'd rather just cut it off there at the pass and not even really entertain it, put the burden on him or the homeowner or the potential homeowner to prove why they need to do something.
Just briefly, my 2 cents. The roof is in bad shape, so it needs something. Up and down High Street, we've approved slate line shingles all over the place. 450 High, which is to the left of it. It's recently, within the last couple years, is slate line shingles. Down the street, there's slate line shingles. So
I know where you're headed with that, but I think too that we have to we're going to be slate line shingles. the same
Well, it doesn't
color
have
all
to,
over.
it doesn't have to be slate line shingles. I'm
But-
not saying it has to be slate line
I
shingles.
know,
I think,
but if we could recommend, the other items that we've been approving.
but,
so-
but the core, we can. The core question, I think, for him, and probably where the cost comes in, and I'm reading into this, is not replacing with real slate. That's probably where the cost is. The chimneys, from High Street, it's very symmetrical.
It is.
I'm an architect who's not really hung up in symmetry. I get frustrated sometimes when people are, but you remove one of those chimneys, it's a historic building. It could look a little weird. And then the one from Wall, right, is got a brick pattern in it until it gets up to the cornice line, and then it becomes very plain. So, if that one disappeared, maybe it's not a big deal. You'd never know it. But
Right.
but I think we need to know more about
Agreed.
what chimney. It just says, can they remove one or two chimneys? Oh,
Has the resale inspection been done on this property yet?
All my communications have been just, he reached out to us. I'm assuming it's maybe a purchase in potential, and he's just seeing.
Well, I think that I'm looking at sign. It looks like it's obviously for sale. So there should have been a resale inspection. And would that have anything would they say anything about the chimney, or they just look at its recommendation that it be inspected?
Yeah, that's all. It would just be a recommendation that the
Right.
chimney's inspected. So, all right, well then I will answer I will respond to him that he needs to come to the board.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep. And I only mentioned slate line because he doesn't mention GAF or anything like that, but he mentioned slate line in
Right.
his
I got
letter,
it.
so.
Okay, but I think that we have to,
I don't
Hope that-
disagree.
hope that they vary it a little bit.
I guess my point was we've approved non-slate material
Yes,
replacement,
that's
and
right.
we just use slate line because it rolls off our tongue these days. But
Right.
I agree.
Well, I think it was the only thing that was available for a very long time as well.
Right.
That was acceptable.
All right, I heard a motion. Do I have a
Motion that we-
second
Yes. Oh, sorry.
to adjourn? A second to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
6:53.
So it must be, somebody must have.
Pardon me?
Somebody must be considering